Welcome, Business Accelerator participants, to one of our first knowledge nuggets. I'm Kelly Woodward, and in this brief video today, I'm going to be talking to you about making the shift from an operational manager to a strategic leader. Often people use those terms, management and leadership, interchangeably, but they really are two distinctive yet complementary systems of action. And you may need to lead some things and manage others. The important thing is to know the difference. You used to probably accomplish your work by doing it all yourself. You were the expert, you had your objectives, you knew what needed to be done, and you just did it. But as a leader, you're leading, you're guiding, you're motivating other people to complete the work. So there are traits that separate the two, manager, leader. So I want to talk about those traits a little bit with you and the difference between managing and leading. And as I share those traits with you, I want you to be doing a bit of a self-assessment. When you hear these phrases and these words, I want you to think about, am I using the traits of a manager too frequently? Or am I using them in the right situations? Because certainly you do still need to manage. And then also think about the phrases and the words that describe a strategic leader and ask yourself, am I using them frequently enough? So here we go. An operations manager is used to being guided by others. So think about positions that you held in the past. Perhaps you were guided by your boss, a mentor, but you were waiting for instructions from other people to tell you what needed to be done or what needed to be accomplished. As a strategic leader, you are guiding others, you are leading by example, and you are anticipating needs and proactively addressing them instead of waiting to be told. You're looking for the problems, you're looking for the issues, you're looking for even things that are going well, and you're proactively addressing them. As an operations manager, you were probably used to being the expert. You were the subject matter expert. You had all of the knowledge that you needed in order to accomplish your goals and your tasks. Where as you move further up the chain in the organization, your expertise becomes less relevant. So you have a need to seek out the advice of experts, and you surround yourself with the experts that you need in order to accomplish your goals. As an operations manager, you were probably the one determining what to do, what needed to be done. It was very clear based on your objectives, and you were the one doing the execution. As a strategic leader, you're developing other people to do that work, and you're delegating. As an operations manager, you were probably able to make decisions and solve problems. The problems were probably less complex than they are now in your current position. So you had the authority and the right and the expertise to be able to determine the right resolution to the problems. Whereas a strategic leader, you're dealing with much more complex problems. You probably and should be doing more joint problem solving and stimulating new and innovative ideas. As a operations manager, you were also the one who was probably executing all of the daily activities. And as a strategic leader, you need to anticipate trends and promote longer term thinking. So not just solving the things that are in front of you at the moment, but really looking into the future, doing that environmental scan and anticipating what might be coming next. So take a moment, think about those phrases that I just shared with you. And again, maybe jot down what you think you should be doing less of as a manager and what you should be doing more of as a strategic leader. And take the opportunity in your next one-on-one call with your consultant advisor to talk about some of these things with them. So I'll give you just a moment. There are some pitfalls to avoid. you're probably very used to just doing the work yourself. It's easier, you can do it faster, and as a strategic leader, we said you need to be enabling others, right, and motivating them. And that takes time, which is one of the reasons we fall back to just doing things ourselves. So think about things that you're doing now that you could delegate to others, and think about how you can enable them to complete those tasks. Some other pitfalls of leaders are that we see that they want to be liked. And being liked is a good thing, right? We want to be liked, but we don't want to just be liked. We want to be liked and respected because we're good leaders. So try not to fall into the habit or the pitfall of wanting your direct reports to just like you. So there are some definite challenges that you may face. And once again, I encourage you to talk over these things with your consultant advisor. There was an article that was written in Harvard Business Review. It was titled Strategic Leadership, The Essential Skills. And the authors were Shoemaker, Krupp, and Howland. And they identified some traits, again, of strategic leaders. And I wanted to highlight just a few of them for you on this video, but I certainly encourage you to read the entire article, which was titled Strategic Leadership, The Essential Skills. And we'll also try to put that article up on the Synchron8 webpage for you. So one of the traits of strategic leaders that these authors described is that they anticipate and get good at anticipating and detecting ambiguous threats and opportunities. So you might ask, well, how do you do that? Well, they've given you some advice in this article, and some of the things that they point to is that you should make it a habit of talking to your customers, your suppliers, your other partners to understand what their challenges are and how they might affect you. They also encourage you to conduct market research and understand what's going on in the environment, having a longer term view, looking at your competitors' perspectives. And a third suggestion was to use scenario planning, to imagine various futures and to start thinking about how you can prepare for them and prepare for the unexpected. Another trait that they mentioned in the article is that strategic leaders challenge. They use the word challenge. They said that you should be strategic thinkers, questioning the status quo, challenging your own and others' assumptions, and encourage divergent points of view. Asking the 5 whys is another great tool to use to help you challenge the status quo and to challenge assumptions. And they also talked about encouraging debate, letting that be a good thing within your culture, doing it in what they call a safe zone, where you are asking for open dialogue, you're allowing conflict to happen in a safe environment and in a safe way, and that's actually welcomed and expected. So strategic leaders challenge. If you challenge, then strategic leaders also must be good at interpreting. Leaders who challenge in the right way are going to elicit complex and conflicting sometimes information. That's why the best leaders are also good at interpreting what they hear and what they know. So when you analyze ambiguous data, one tool you can use is to list 3 possible explanations for what you're observing or what you're hearing. Don't just fall back to the usual or the expected, but really challenge what you're observing and challenge your assumptions. And actively look for missing information and evidence that is contrary to your hypothesis. That will help you to interpret all of the critical data and the conflicting data that you might be hearing. And then one of the other traits discussed in the article is that strategic leaders align. You have to be adept at finding common ground you have to be adept at achieving buy-in among all of the stakeholders who might have different points of view and different agendas sometimes. So you need to communicate early and often to combat complaints that you often hear, like, no one ever asked me, no one ever told me. So the more communication, the earlier, the more frequency, the better chance that you'll have on aligning all of your key stakeholders. So one of the things you need to do is to identify who those stakeholders are. They might be internal stakeholders, they might be external stakeholders, and you should map their positions on the initiative that you're working on and identify if there are any misalignments. There are some tools on the Accelerate webpage to help you map your stakeholders. So take a look at those, they might be really useful. Making the shift from being one who executes to one who leads and implements strategies means that you need to develop your people and show them that you're confident enough in them to delegate some of your own responsibilities. And this is one of potentially the most difficult shifts for people to make as they continue to move up in the organization, the shift from doing to leading. So to make the shift, you are going to have to delegate in order to maximize the productivity, in order to meet the tight timelines, in order to manage the heavy workload. You can't keep holding on to work. And you actually don't want to keep holding on to work because you're not going to be recognized for executing tactical assignments. You're going to be recognized for leading an organization to achieve its most critical business goals. So there are some tips for delegation if you feel like you might be struggling with that. They're on the Accelerate webpage. It's the Shire BA for Business Acumen post week 7. So take a look at tips for delegating. And also continue to work with your consultant advisors, your CAs, and continue to view some of these brief videos as we post more for you. So thank you. Look forward to seeing you again. Bye.